Good afternoon, folks. Welcome into episode number 42. Episode number 42 of Clark After Dark here. A little bit of Metallica going to bring us in to the podcast tonight, folks. Fresh off of Independence Day weekend, where we saw some phenomenal racing take place around the Arklatex. Super late models back at Sabine Motor Speedway down in Manny, Louisiana for the first time in a very long time. Controversy in the UMP Summer Nationals Hill Tour Sunday night in Victor Lane with Lucas Lee, and we'll get to that here in a minute as well. Controversy as well on track with the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. Penalties now being levied today. $1,000 fines being thrown out for fighting. Looking forward to talking about that as well. And much more tonight right here on episode number 42 of Clark After Dark after a one-week hiatus, folks. Sorry to leave you guys hanging last week. Had a few people reach out this week or last week. Are like, where's Clark After Dark? We're like, well, look, we had a couple things come up and unfortunately had to set it aside last week, but we're happy to be back this week. And of course, my guest, he's going to hop on with me right now. Alexandria, Louisiana's. Do we still call you Big Sexy or not? I don't know. I mean, he's big. You can call him sexy all you want, but it's Cortland Smith. Cortland, hey, you're high on the hog right now, I would imagine, right? Just talking about Manny Friday night supers come down there. I thought it was really awesome because several of the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series regulars, right, went down there and supported that deal. Catman was down there. Morgan Bagley, who you're down there working for. By the way, I got pictures of you actually working in real time in the pits Friday night at Manny. But dude, like Cade Dillard jumped out front, led the first 19 laps, got a flat tire with 11 laps to go. But dude, y'all had that 14M car right there in position, and man, Mobag's pouncing. He got him a $3,000 score on Friday night down at Sabine.
So excited to see super late models back in Central Louisiana, man. I swear this grin was on my face all weekend. Just ecstatic. We don't get them very far south of I-20 very often no more. That's just the God's honest truth. You know, like we don't get them south of I-20 very often. So to have them back at Manny, and dude, did the crowd show up and show out, man. And I know a lot of people showed up in support of Cade, but at the end of the day, we have to race super late models to get Cade there sometimes. So that's what it takes. And man, dude, what an awesome night. Like you said, I think it's about 25 cars, full field of cars, man. My boy Bags was able to get the win. Happy to see that. You know, we were sitting there running second. Cade jumped out really fast and on beat. I mean, like he went out there for qualifying, and there's not many places that you can roll around a track and just hold it wide open. And that tells you just the shape of Manny and how fast it really is, that it doesn't get represented well on a broadcast. I think like just how fast and the way that place is shaped. Like the 97 went around there and qualified and never lifted. Like I stood in turn one and he went around there wide open and he never lifted in 3 and 4 neither. So his car was really good, man. And at the end of the day, you know, if he doesn't have the flat, who knows what's happens. You know, I think when we had that restart, he didn't jump out as far as he did before. You know, like it's not like he just checked out a whole straightaway and a half. We were on a different tire than everybody else. So we didn't go buy the 2.5 tires like from everybody I checked, they had them on. So we were on a different tire. Not that that was going to help or hurt us. It is what it is. But yeah, my boy Bags was able to get the job done, man. He was able to go up there and pound that cushion a little bit. He'll be the first one to tell you that ain't his forte. But like he told me, he said when I saw them 5 fingers in the air from my boy David Corbella, he said I put her on the lip then and really got her done. And we was able to kind of stretch out there a little bit and just really show how strong the 14M was that weekend.
Man, it kind of had an old SUPR, a super, you know, Southern United Professional Racing Series feel of the night, right? Just because supers were back at Manny, you know, supers hadn't been to Manny in a long time, obviously, because the series is now defunct. But you know, it was once the longest, you know, operating touring sanctioning body in the history of super late model racing. But man, I thought it was pretty cool. The Mississippi State Challenge Series, man, they brought a healthy field of competitors down there, and like you mentioned, man, watching Cade in qualifying, he laid down a 13.545. We were all kind of interested at what kind of time he was going to turn. And I recall when Bub McCool was at Arklatex for the Pelican 100 in 2011. It's funny because Arklatex shared this post today about qualifying the Pelican 100. They a post looking back anyway from 14 years ago. But Bub McCool set the track record at the time at Arklatex with a 13.437, a 13.437. And I just thought it was interesting, like how close that those times were. Both absolutely on the wood. Like late models are still fast 10 years ago, but I think they've gotten even faster now. But watching Cade out there, that's what I said to him too, post-race, just standing down there beside his car. I think all the fans wanted to hear from him after he just went out there and qualified. Because like you said, man, he doesn't really get to race at home very often. And I said, man, I can't imagine there's much more that fires you up in life than just laying the wood down here at Manny. Like that had, and he was like, oh man, like it. You know, you could tell he had a grin on his face, and it looked like it was fun for him too, and everybody to be back down there, Manny. And like I said, man, I tip the cap to a lot of the comp cams regulars that came down there and supported this deal, because I know that a lot of times it's kind of a gamble when you're not, because you wonder about what tech's going to be like. But thankfully, Mississippi State Challenge Series is sanctioned, and I think that allowed for a lot of guys, come down there and test the waters this past weekend.
Not even the comp cams guys, man, the Mississippi guys that come over there. And I know that's their series, but you talk to like Brandon Carpenter and Dean Carpenter, they're parked beside us. I think they said it was 9 hours to get there, so that was a haul for any supers to come down here, man. Like we know there's not many of them left so for anybody to come up and support, man, it just, all of them that showed up, man, from Cortland Smith, from my dire heart, thank you. Cause I absolutely love seeing a full field of super late models at Sabine Speedway, man. It, was a really good show. Like I said, I think you can't ask for much better racing. Mississippi State does have that different format where you qualify and the top 3 from each group get to run the dash. So you don't necessarily get the heat races like you would, but still at the end of the day, it produced some awesome racing, man. And I think I've said it before, Sabine Speedway is very underrated in my opinion for just the track and the facility. It was a little rough and I think everybody saw that, but at the end of the day, man, the Sabine Speed Palace, dude, you got to go down a hog trail to get to it. But man, when she's right, she can get it on.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's right across the street from a Walmart. So, like, people say, it's not a great location. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad location. Just the road to get down into it is kind of wild. You might scratch it up just a little bit, but no, it is an awesome place. And I talked to Todd McKellar, who owns the place now, along with Shane Hebert, and they were fired up after the races, obviously, with how many fans showed up to show out at the place. I mean, that was awesome to see in itself. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of them fans showed up to see Talon Willis, too. Sure, they showed up to see Morgan Bagley, but, man, I'm telling you, there was a lot of fans. When I announced that young man's name qualifying Friday night, man, they erupted for that young man, and he qualified well. Hey, before we get away completely from Manny, how about that race with him and Morgan in the B, or wasn't it him and Morgan? And
it was the dash. That was the dash.
The dash. That was for second. That was good stuff, man. That was good. And and I felt like we were watching Talon blossom right before his eyes. And I said it on the broadcast. I'm pretty sure I said I think Talon Willis probably just earned Morgan Bagley's respect.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a heck of a race. It was one of them deals. He was doing everything he could for second. Like he was not. I mean, we were racing. So when I say he was using the track, I mean he was doing what he had to do to finish second in the dash. But like you said, man, the kid is very talented. That's actually one of our old cars that we sold to Robert Metz in the 955 team. So we know that car's pretty good. And he had some problems, man. They had a couple. I think they had I know at Chatham, they definitely had a broken shock that happened to him. That's why he had a bad run at Chatham. And then at Manny, I think he was running 3rd or 4th there, and he jumped the cushion there with about 2 or 3 laps to go. So, just experience, man. There's nothing that'll get you prepared for super late model racing than other racing super late models. Like that's all there is to it. And for him to go out there, he's been fast ever since he's got in it. I don't think you can hide the talent from him. He just got to wisen up. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because we have seen his racecraft absolutely blossom when he gets behind the wheel of the B-Mod stuff. Just that super late model, just a different level. You're going faster, you can drive it harder, just everything just that much more heightened, I guess you could say. Just everything's faster. So I mean, he'll get it dialed in. Obviously, like I said, the talent's there. And that dash, he was doing everything he could to start on the outside pole with the Thriller. And I'm sure, like you said, when you announced that front row of 97 and Talon Willis, that's probably 75% of the stands there were hooping and hollering.
Yeah, absolutely. But the great state of Texas still came home with the lunch money. So wasn't a bad night. And I caught Morgan rolling out of the pits, and he said we had it along. No, they were headed to Chatham actually. So,
Chatham, yeah,
good run. Then good weekend for Morgan. Came home 1st and 3rd on the weekend. Not a bad performance for him. As Chad Thrash was able to get the win on Saturday night at Super B in Chatham, Louisiana. Man, hey, let's talk about post race interviews, shall we?
Let's get into it.
Where do we start with this? Or post-race, victory lane interviews, whatever it may be. A lot of people are talking about it after the Lucas Lee interview heard around the world. And obviously, Dirt Vision didn't publish this because all of the curse words. They did put out a little teaser or an advertisement video earlier today, and I thought it was kind of funny. And so this for me, okay, as an announcer, you cannot lose control of the microphone. And this isn't what happened with Peyton Williams the other night. And I'm not saying it did, but like that's broadcasting 101. You really don't ever know what these drivers are going to say. Sometimes you can have a good idea. I feel like Peyton Williams the other night he may have had a little bit of an inkling or an idea that Lucas Lee, because Lucas's character anyway, he's high strung, he's aggressive behind the wheel. He probably could have had an idea that okay, this guy might say something borderline wild right now, but nobody could have predicted that Lucas Lee was about to fire off what he fired out of his mouth the other night. Was absolutely insane. So anyway, I was talking about this the other night. It just made me laugh because Chad Comer, I went down to interview Chad the other night. We're going to get to this full Lucas Lee situation, but I went to interview Chad the other night. It made me think back. I was cracking up because I went to interview him and he went to grab the microphone. And it's like, well, I'm not letting go, Chad. Like we were kind of wrestling back and forth with the mic, but he probably didn't think nothing of it. But it's like, I'm not letting go of this microphone, Chad Comer. I know he wasn't going to say anything crazy, so I wasn't too concerned, but I think he's probably used to Steve Cape. So there's always different announcers, and different announcers handle things differently, is my point of this, is what I'm trying to say. Like some announcers just give you the mic, like, hey, like for all we know, that guy could cuss up a storm, cuss out your whole family on this mic. Y'all just handed it to him, let him have the whole floor. Like, what are we doing? We can't do that. And this isn't a shot at my buddy Steve Cape. He's been doing it like that for years. So it is what it is. So I learned my lesson a long time ago, right, Cortland? Dustin Yount flipped down the back straightaway at Timberline Speedway, okay? Flips down the back straightaway. And so we're still trying to clean it up, right? And his car's getting towed down the front stretch on the tow truck, and he's made his way around the track, and he's walked up the front stretch up to where the victory lane used to be at Timberline, right up on the checkerboard. And this is 2015 or 16. I walked down, and I'm just trying to fill dead air time. Granted, we're not doing broadcasting back then, right, Cortland? So no streaming or anything. We had a full house that night, and I said, Dustin, I said, Dustin, are you good to do an interview? Like off mic, like, Dustin, are you good to do it? Yeah, man, I'm good. Yeah, man, I'm good. All right. I'm like, we were here with Dustin Yount. Dustin, tell me what happened down the back straightaway. I said, first of all, Dustin, are you okay? He said, yeah, I'm okay, but that dumb motherfucker. And I said, whoa, cuz. And I'm like, whoa, cuz. So every time I see Dustin Yount, I think about that memory when he just let him have it on the mic. But I was quick. I had to pull that thing right back. Like, get out of here, Scooter. You can't do that. Everybody loved it. Everybody's like, yeah, Dustin Yount. What a time to be alive, right? It was a good time. So I had to tell that story real quick. I have a lot of pretty cool stories as far as being an announcer over the years. A lot of cool ones I could probably tell you. So this deal with Lucas Lee the other night, I can't even tell you all the adjectives and pronouns and different things that he threw out about one Chase Holland. But, buddy, what did you think about Lucas Lee's comments the other night? And I got some more I want to add on top of it, but my God.
I mean, I feel like that's Lucas Lee, though, man. That's who he is. He's not going to hide behind a curtain and put on a show and put on a face. Like, Lucas Lee is who he is, and he definitely showed that on the broadcast of what he said. We actually parked beside him in Benton, Missouri. 6 days before that interview happened.
Last
Monday. Last Monday we were parked beside him at Benton, and he come out and I'm not saying he used all those adjectives in talking to him, but that's just, you could tell like that's who he is. He's kind of a fiery guy. Like he's going to fire something out there, and it may like tip the scale a little. That's okay to him because he really doesn't care. Like he's Lucas Lee, and he is who he is, and he's not going to hide behind a face. But definitely caught the attention of the world. Like you said, it was the post-race interview that's been heard around the world at this point. And I'll be honest with you, man, I think you got more Lucas Lee fans now than you did before, because just like you mentioned with the Dustin Yount deal, like, man, some of these race fans, they're just some old rednecks, and they don't mind a couple adjectives being used like that, I guess you could say.
Yeah, hey, I'm all about allowing the drivers to show their personalities, for better or for worse. If they elect to make that decision, then that's on them. And you fans can choose to like them or dislike them. They elect to make that decision on their own. If you're going to take that approach and you handle your interview that way, Cortland, at least stand on business like Lucas Lee did. He did, dude. He came out and made a Facebook post. I wish I would have screenshotted it so I could share it on the screen right now for all of you folks to see it in case you didn't, because it wasn't a public post to see. But he stood on business with it. And he said, I'm here to apologize to absolutely no one, which was probably a Scott Bloomquist type quote. But he truly does not give a shit. And excuse my language, I didn't want to say the F word a few minutes ago, but that's what Dustin said, okay? I'm just telling y'all that's what he said 10 years ago on the microphone. So I had to tell you what he told me, it's just how it happened. So I was digging through this the night that it happened, right? Like, everybody's probably already over this. He reshared a post today, Lucas did, telling Sam Driggers, like, hey, I was in your office on Sunday night, but now y'all are advertising me actually, which is crazy because Turbo did the interview just before that, and he dropped an F-bomb too. Like, the Hell Tour was the cuss tour the other night. It was pretty crazy. They need to rename, take the D out of Duck River and just rename it River, whatever. But
Well, I
whatever.
mean, I am
Yeah,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
say, man, like them that Lucas Lee, like I'm gonna go. I'll hit about him and Turbo. Like Lucas Lee raced at North Alabama the weekend before, then goes to Benton, Missouri, and goes to all these places. Turbo has run every single race of the Hell Tour. Like these dudes are tired. They don't care. No, I say they don't care, but just like if you've had several run-ins with a person, and I don't know if Chase Holland and Lucas Lee had a run-in. I have no idea. I really haven't kept up that close to the modified portion of the Summer Nationals. But I mean, if you had several run-ins and you're on day 28 straight of racing, you're going to be a little fiery. You don't have no
Yeah,
sleep. Your give a darn is out the window, and you're just either you're there to win a race or go home, and that's all you're worried about essentially at that point.
good
Because
point.
my experience, like we only did 2 weeks, and by race 12, like I looked at bags, I said I'm either ready to win or go home, bud. One of the two. Like let's make a decision. And same thing with Turbo. Like he's raced this whole Summer Nationals, and if he thinks he got screwed out of points, and you're day 28, like Turbo, that is how he makes a living. I'm sure it's how all them guys on the team, they maybe get a percentage. I don't know how the crew guys get paid on that situation, but like at that point, he's going to show his displeasure if he thinks he got done wrong. So I'm not saying it was granted all the adjectives that Lucas Lee said, but Turbo saying one, and I'm just gonna like it's part of the deal. Like that's real life. If we want to pull the curtain back on racing and see who these guys really are and show the true emotions of what goes into all this, that's part of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Okay. I want to take this to the next level though. So with Lucas Lee doing that though, he has opened up the door for everybody on social media that either just doesn't like him or they're fans of Chase Holland that are just being absolutely toxic on social media, man. I've seen so many people accusing Lucas Lee of being a pill popper. He smokes dope, smokes meth. Dude, listen, I want to tell you, man, that's a hell of an accusation. I know Lucas Lee has been through some things and he's come out of the other side of it. Like I know Lucas pretty well. He used to come down and run the Doug Murphy Memorial at Arklatex. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had interaction with the guy. I know him fairly well. Like I'm not going to call him a great friend, but I know him through racing and I know what kind of guy he is and how he carries himself. And he's always like he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's always told you exactly who he is, and you don't ever have to guess really what Lucas Lee thinks or how he feels about anything. But I just feel like that's really over the top, So if anybody like started bashing me because of my past because I chose to show my ass, I don't think that's very fair. Like at what point is it too personal? I mean, I realized that the gloves are off after how many cuss words he chose to throw out there, right? Along with calling Chase Allen a P word.
Yeah.
So like I said, if you can dish it, you got to be sure that you can take it. And I'm sure he can. But people on Facebook, like y'all got to do better. Like people, y'all have got to do better. I mean, I'm trying to find the right words here. Because just because you don't agree with someone's opinion or you're a fan of the driver that he's talking about, so you're riding with Chase Holland, but the amount of vitriol he's receiving is just wild to me. Like y'all say you want these guys to take their filters off and be real and call it like they see it. Granted, listen, I'm all about balancing professionalism in there with it as well, but when a guy shows his ass and then y'all are chastising him saying he was just tweaking out on drugs, like what is it? Like, what do you really want? Do you want him to be himself and show out? Granted, he said a lot of cuss words. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Find a little bit more professionalism, my boy Lucas. But hey, like, do we really have to resort to name calling and saying that this guy is bad off on drugs? He's popping pills and smoking dope, dude. That is unacceptable. It is. Dude, social media, a race fan. I'm not calling race fans out, but social media is such a toxic place, and it's not fair to him. I'm sorry. Like, and I'm not like making excuses for him. I'm just saying, like, I get it. Like he asked for it, opening up the door with all of his words that he chose to use in Victory Lane. But like, man, that's just taking it to the whole other level, and it's not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, like we both said, we're not agreeing with what he said. Like we definitely both agree
Right.
that he stepped over the line. Like there's a line that you got to somewhat ride. Like at the end of the day, we know this is kind of a redneck sport that has somehow gained national attention, right? Like this has grown and we're steadily growing. We got streaming and all this, and like there is a line that you got to run where like you be yourself, but then like we all know that we can't just say those types of things, right? So it is that fine line. Like you said, he opened himself up to that. But at the end of the day, man, like to go back and bring out people's past like that, the way I've used, like they're not mad, they're just jealous. They're just jealous they weren't the one in Summit modified Victory Lane. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I would look at it. Like that's just because if you're gonna sit there and bring up a dude's past, like I mean, even I don't necessarily know all the details on that, so I'm not even going to really speak on it too much. But, man, if you're going to sit there and bring up the past, let dig in everybody's closet. I promise you, we all got stuff that we've done in life that we ain't proud of. Ain't none of us perfect. So don't sit there. Like you said, it's bad that we've used that as a place to attack now. Like we both said, I know I'm contradicting myself. Somebody listen to this going, man, this Cortland's going back and forth. And I know I kind of am, but at the end of the day, we know Lucas Lee opened himself up to it. But at the end of the day, it's not like he opened himself up to sit here and get called those accusations. Like it's just everybody's got to do better. In this situation, everybody's got to do better. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely. It's equivalent to me saying something on a microphone, which I try not to say too much that you guys are going to pick apart and chastise, but it'd be almost equivalent to me saying something on a broadcast that you didn't necessarily agree with. You go right to social media and you start talking about that Clark's a drug addict and it's like, yeah, that's not very fair. Like, you know what I mean? But whatever. Like, I used to be, not anymore. Props to you, buddy. You win social media comment of the year. You know what I mean? Like, what did you win for that? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel great? Congratulations. It's like Peyton Taylor back of his shirt says, congratulations. You were so fast on Facebook. Everybody's bigger and better and badder on Facebook. What a time to be alive we are here in 2025, folks. We'll wrap that up. So how about this, Cortland Smith? So let's just stay on it. Like, because a lot of controversy. I do want to talk a little bit more about some local racing. Boot Hill did race this past weekend. We got more racing going up this weekend. But Michael Page and Corey Hedgecock got together, the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. Of course, they're a world racing group or a dirt car sanctioned series, Cortland. So Michael Page, Corey Hedgecock got together, post-race fireworks on Independence Day weekend as they got to fighting on top of the race car. Corey Hedgecock jumped over the top. It was entertaining to say the least. But today Michael Page gets a 30-day suspension and a $1,000 fine for fighting. And I think he got $2,000 fines. So anyway, wild stuff. I
think he lost the finish money, which was $1,900, and then the $1,000 fine. So that and then he got his 30-day suspension. I think that you were hitting it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have cut you off there.
Sonoy, Southwest or Southeast Georgia. I don't know what's in the water. That's an exciting racetrack. First of all, is it Sonoya, Sonoa? I don't know what you call it. We can debate that here on Clark After Dark as well if you'd like. I mean, you've been to that racetrack. You've been to the Peach State Classic, man. Really, really badass racetrack. Gets really slick, and just them two got together earlier in the heat race, and it carried over to the last lap coming to the checkers. A slide job thrown there. I think it was Page on Hedgecock, and that's kind of what started the whole deal.
Yeah, Hedgecock just ran Page all the way up the track there in 3 and 4, and I think Page tried to give him a little room, and then Hedgecock just kept on forcing his way up there. But like you said, it started all the way in the heat race. Like they had sliders thrown in turn 1, lap 1 of the heat race, and stuff got hot. Man, I'm mad at the track official that was holding my boy Michael Page down whenever he was trying to get out the car. Like, we can cover the rest of this. I'm just going to call out whoever that track official is. I know they're supposed to be there to stop the fight, but he let my boy Michael Page absolutely get the people's elbow from the top rope from Corey Hedgecock. Because if you watch it, he holds his foot, and Page is like stuck there fighting him, and Hedgecock just blindsides him. And then it was just, everything broke loose after that. And that's they pit in the infield there, and they hot pit in there so everybody can get to it. And you're not stopping people. Like, when something like that happens, you ain't going to stop anybody from hopping out there on the racetrack. So, man, like you said, it gets that old South Georgia, man. It's some reason, that southeastern region, they like to get feisty, and not in a bad way. I mean, heck, like we talked about, be who you are, show who you are. If you were upset with somebody, don't go to Facebook and talk about it. They my boy Michael Pace tried to handle it right there on the racetrack. So, yeah,
love everything about it. Like, don't go to the pit. Don't get on Facebook and go to talking all that shit. Like, hey, we're here right now. Let's square away in front of all these people. Like, I'm not condoning violence or anything like that.
No.
Also, you have anything? Sonoy also Saturday night, man. I want to talk about this as well. Everybody. So about the midpoint of Saturday night when I'm announcing in Boot Hill, I get a message from Sean Hibbs, one of our best race fans. He's sitting in the stands. He listens to our podcast every week. Shout out Sean Hibbs and his wife Amber. They're awesome people, man. They support the racetrack in person. They came to Manny for the first time Friday night. They traveled 3 hours to come down there. Like, they are truly awesome race fans. I literally told him in person on Saturday, man, if we had a couple thousand of you guys, our sport would be doing really, really well. Like, it would be doing really, really good. So shout out to him. But and I done got sidetracked. I was telling him
Sonoya, turn 4.
Yeah, the wreck at Sonoy. Yeah, so he texted me and he said, man, there was just a bad wreck at Sonoy. So we're kind of getting the news as it comes in. Well, then you get the first video from the perspective up over there, kind of from the grandstands at the top of 4. And then you get the other one looking from the other vantage point, dude. That was We're talking about the late model that came up through the fence. The fence appears that it did its job, but I think it's just the rebound and, like, the instant shock. It's going to push some stuff back. And man, thankfully, dude, nobody was killed, man. That was a really, really scary situation, and it could have been tragic. And man, we're really, really, truly thankful that it wasn't, because that was a really, really scary situation.
The good Lord definitely was watching over those people right there, man. And we say it all the time, and I say you say it, any announcer, man, fans, please back up from the wall, from the fence, please back away. And this is, it's not necessarily if, it's when, and we don't want the when to happen, but eventually at some point in time, about once a year, we see accidents like this. And I've told, like, right before we started recording, that's annoying. Like, I stood right there point in time watching super late models qualify. We went down there for the Peach State Classic for the Flow Night in America, and I stood right there. And if you're just not that you become numb to it, but you got to rethink a lot of things now. But when you walk up, like, there's a gap between the wall and the fence. So, like, when you're standing on the fence, you really, like, it's not like you're on top of the racetrack. So you feel as if you're honestly safer than most scenarios when you stand on the fence. Does that make sense? So, yeah. And then when it happened, dude, like, those guys, I mean, I think it was during the 604 feature, I believe. I don't think it was during but I believe it was during the 604 feature. And so, and that wasn't even a super late model going as fast as possible. And that's why I mentioned that, because the 604 is not that they're not fast as well. Any car on the racetrack at Sonoy can get pretty good speed, but just the way he come through that wall, man, and them dudes shot. I mean, they literally shot. Like, they were just out of picture, gone, boom. I mean, and there wasn't nothing they could do. And, man, it just reiterates, I swear Natalie makes more fun of me now, because, like, I was sadly at Batesville, and man, I cannot think of his name. He's one of Wendell Wallace's best buds, and I knew I should have got it. Oh, I'll think of it whenever we get to record. I was at Batesville when a street stock climbed the wall there on the backstretch, and the guy, his arm got hung up in the fence whenever the fence started getting tearing down, and he couldn't get away, and the car hit him in the back of the head. Luckily, the guy, he's okay. Like, he was okay from the wreck, but they had to do the hospital and all that. But man, it puts you into perspective. Like, we go to the races and we enjoy it, and we don't see bad accidents often, and thank the Lord we don't. But this should just be a reference and a refresh to everybody. Like, man, this is a dangerous sport, no matter where you're at, whether you're a fan in the grandstands or a crew guy on the fence, like, whatever it may be, man, just always keep your head on a swivel. I can't say nothing. I was in Manny. I stood at the bottom of the grandstands, but I never looked at turn 1 and 2 until the last 5 laps. I stayed looking at 3 and 4 the entire time, because just, you never know when something might happen, man. And this is just, please, race fans, when an announcer asks you to back up from a fence, or you're going to walk up there and look, man, don't be ignorant, because, man, it just, stuff can happen very fast, and we don't want to see nobody get injured at the racetrack.
Yeah, and what's scary about this deal is, like, them people weren't, like, standing all the way directly up on it either. I think is what's the scariest part about it. It was the ricochet from the impact that knocked them back, right? It was almost like a bomb went off. They boom, got blown backwards. It was really scary, man. And we are really, really lucky those people are okay. We talk about black eyes being put on our sport for different things. You could say that, in regards to the Lucas Lee interview, or you could say that in regards to the fight between Page and Hedgecock the other night. You could deem that a black eye, or whatever it may be. I think things like this, though, put more of a black eye on our sport. Granted, thank the Lord that these people are okay, but, it would be really, really hard and tragic to go through this week, to know that a couple dirt track fans could have lost their life this weekend, so we definitely don't want to take that for granted. The sport, like you said, sometimes unfortunately, it takes something like this to shock a lot of people, for them for it to reiterate just how dangerous this sport truly is. Because I think we can go a little while. We'll go, a couple years. We might go, 3, 4, 5, or 6, 7 years without something tragic happening at a racetrack, and then something happens and we realize, okay, we need to get back to square one and make sure we're being safe as we possibly can be. So don't shortcut safety, folks. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel, like Cortland said, at all times around the racetrack. My producer, Cody Wooten. Cody, I want to see if you could help me out and throw them results up there. I compiled all the results from all the racetracks. Thanks a lot, Cody. From all the racetracks around. And as we were talking about the Mississippi State Challenge Super Late Models a minute ago running at Manny, we did want to hit, some of the results there. I realize that's a bunch of different results, but all these tracks are live on RaceON this past weekend, Cortland. And a couple of them that I just want to hit a couple of the races that kind of stood out there. Of course, Chad Comer did get the Sideline Sports and Screening USRA Limited Modified win for a guy that only races he said he races 1 or 2 times a year, just knock the dust off. He has really helped Corey Neal Jr. and Callan Willis get their careers kick-started in that limited program. And that dude can really wheel a race car too. CJ Howell is on a roll right now. Officially, he has won now 3 in a row. Won last weekend at Boot Hill, won $2,500 Friday night at Manny, won again on Saturday night at Boot Hill. He has got a lot of steam and a momentum heading into the King of the Hill, man. CJ Howell, look out for him, man. He's rolling right now.
That 2 car's been fast all year long, and it's you can't hide behind the fact like that 2 car has absolutely been on rails. And I believe I'm 95% sure that's actually a newer car that he built. Like that's a new car. It wasn't the same one he started the year off with. Yeah, so it is a new car. So I mean, even whatever he's got going on with his program, chassis to chassis. Not that the chassis get too far off, but I mean, guys will tell you that there's some cars that are just lights out fast, and you can try to replicate it and you can't. But obviously, his program right now is really good. And man, I guarantee, you mentioned it at Boot Hill on the, during the broadcast, how, he just the big one at Boot Hill has always eluded him. A big time, the King of the Hill and the 30,000 has eluded him. But man, this year, I'm telling you, he's got all the confidence in the world going into it. And it's without a doubt, he's the top 3 fastest factory stocks in the Arklatex region right now.
Yeah, he was not as confident as he was with he was not very confident with the race car that he had, but he still scored a top 5. I was like, man, well, I'd hate to see you confident in a car that you feel good in. So he's got that car dialed in, and he's undefeated in it since he dropped it out, since he finished 5th in the in the 30K in the prior car that he had. So a couple other notes this past weekend. William Gould got an IMCA modified win over at the Grayson County Speedway. Remember the American Crate Late Model Series was there. Shout out to little Robbie Starnes for getting a big time win over there in Bells, Texas this past weekend. Also, like I mentioned, Chad Thrash got the Mississippi State Challenge Super Late Model win at Super B on Saturday night. About the Patton family, Wayne and Richie Patton both getting a win at Super B. The Pattons are still out here racing, man, and getting it done, son. Like, hey, and I don't know if you remember Butch Patton. Butch Patton won the 1997 Super title. The Pattons have been wheeling for years.
For years up there in that Northeast region, man, the Patton name is famous. Like it's no doubt that dad was a regular at Chatham back in the day for many years. And he used to always say, the Pattons was a bunch that you knew you were always going to outrun. And man, I'll give a shout out to Super B. I'm not going to shy away from it. A lot of people will. Years past, that place has 99% of the time been locked down around the bottom. And a couple years ago at a Spooky, it was a comp cams race. It raced pretty good on Friday night, and that was one of the few nights. But I give credit to Super B, man. That top of 1 and 2 stayed good all night, and it would really race really well throughout 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. It was kind of choppy, so it kind of made it hard to run the top. There was a hole getting into 3 right where you needed to be if you were going to run the top, so you kind of had to find a line to avoid it. And then there was just a lot of brown leaving the bottom of 3 and 4, so you kind of just search there through 3 and 4. However you get through the holes best, essentially through 3 and 4. But man, I just want to give a shout out to Super B and those guys there, man. The track was it's getting better. It's getting better. And you can now see the potential there. Whenever I've rode around in the pits there before the races, like you could tell they've changed the banking up in it, and they're doing a lot of work. I'm not going to say that old red dirt is red dirt, and that's just what we got down here, and that's what you got to work with. But they're making the best of it. And it really was a good race there for what we normally are used to see there at Super B.
Absolutely. A couple other notes, man. We talked about the great crowd we had at Manny on Friday night in Sabine. Man, what a crowd, Grayson County. You could pull up the RaceON broadcast. Folks, I talk about this all the time. I was talking to Josh Daugherty the other night, and he was telling me that he thinks RaceON's hurting fans getting in the stands. I'm like, Josh, I respect your opinion. But I was like, man, the most watched events online are the most attended events in person. Granted, there wasn't a whole lot of people at Boot Hill on Saturday night. Man, we've got to figure out a way to get more people back in the stands. I don't know. Everybody I talked to Saturday, the number one excuse was, well, the heat. And I was like, man, we've been racing in the heat for 50 years. You know what I'm saying? I know that we aren't packing the gills out on that place whenever it's not a huge event. I get it. But when you look at Grayson County, I know they had the American Crate Late Models there. So it is a marquee, a headline event for them. They don't see late models. But there was over 1,400 people in the grandstands at Grayson County on Saturday night. That's pretty badass, man. And not only that, and Cleveland, 105. Dude, I don't know if y'all have noticed lately, but people can dog on 105 all they want, but they pack their grandstands out damn near every single weekend. Shout out to my boy Caleb McFarland down there. Does a great job announcing down there. But Thomas Johnson put the IMCA Race Saver Sprint car in Victor Lane, had the fans on their feet. His first win since 2017. Want to give a shout out to Thomas Johnson. Wild Thing representing DeRidder, Louisiana. got a win over there in Cleveland the other night. But shout out to the great fans at 105 in Grayson County, man. I love hearing that because those are basically, look, weekly racing series for 105 right there. The weekly race. They had over 900 people in the grandstands.
That is unbelievable. I mean, it really is incredible. And maybe I don't know what they're doing differently, but everybody needs to go and take some notes, man. I went to Grayson County one time and same thing. That place was packed smooth out. It was the middle of the summer. I went up there and, dude, like it's crazy. You roll up to places, you roll up to Grayson County or 105 and you don't think like, man, there probably ain't gonna be a whole lot of people here tonight to watch the races. And then all of a sudden you look up at hot lap time and then, like you said, boy, was I wrong. Like, I mean, it's standing room only. Yeah. You better hope you know your neighbor pretty well, or if you don't, you will by the end of the night type situation. So just like you said, man, Coach, shout out to especially the race fans of Grayson County Speedway and 105 and the racers that support those tracks, because obviously the fans show up to watch the product that the racers put on the track. So shout out to all of them, man. They're obviously they got something good going on, because just like you said, anytime I pulled up a Grayson County son or 105, dude, there's people in the grandstands.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Grayson has truly some of the best fans. I had the opportunity to call the Tom's Nationals there last October with Chase, and it was fun, man. Like, you feed off that kind of energy. I used to talk about that when I first announced at the Rev, when Dylan and Nick took over the Rev in 2020. That atmosphere, man, it was just so electric, man. It was just some of the most fun times I've ever had in my announce career. I always say it, man, there's nothing like announcing in front of a full house on a dirt track Friday, Saturday, whatever night of the week it may be. But the Rev, whenever that place was packed out to the gills, with 3, 4, however many people it holds, it was just electric, man. And Boot Hill gets the same way, man. Like I said, any dirt track on, if it's packed out, it's just nothing like that, man. I truly love it. So shout out as well. Hey, I think it's about time, dude, that we need to put a bounty on the 69 of Derek Grigsby, Josh Warren in the tuner, and I'm saying it Boot Hill, particularly for the 69.
Yeah.
Cody Tupper also scored his 15th win of the year this past weekend. Tupper's still on a roll. He got beat the previous Saturday night by Talon Willis, but Tupper's still good. Hey, Phil Dixon, man. How about Phil Dixon?
Yes.
A fast one. Phil Dixon, he made Tupper earn that shit on Saturday night, buddy. Let me tell you now, Tupper just didn't roll on in the S&S Fishing and Rental Victor Lane without a challenge from my boy, Phil Dixon. How about that run for A1?
No, and we can all we all watched it. Boot Hill was definitely a little bit more tractioned up than what it normally is.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little wetter. And Cody Tupper, he'll be the first one to tell you, like, he wants that thing slick top to bottom, but he's been good in all conditions. That's why he's been so good all year long, is he's been good in all conditions. He just will tell you his favorite condition is that slick top to bottom. And I know my boy Phil Dixon, he's kind of the same way. He wants that thing to slick off and slow down some, but man, he made Tupper earn it. Like, I promise you, if Tupper don't get out in the lead and is able to run the bottom like he was and kind of keep Phil behind him, like, I think we might see a different result. And it's one of those deals you would have liked to see Phil maybe try something a little bit different to try to get around him, because I think he did have a really good car and had a car to possibly beat Tupper. But at the end of the day, man, that the whole Cody's been on a roll, and when you got confidence, man, and you can't get on these heaters, just as long as you can ride that wave and ride her all the way to the sunset, bud, it's a good wave to ride.
Absolutely. So, man, I found a good way to compile all the results from a lot of the different racetracks. If I missed a couple guys, that's all I could really fit. And again, shout out to Cody for throwing that all together for me. But I kind of go through, I was able to get at least the winners compiled into one list. So, also, Neil Kemp won $4,500 at the Rev on Friday night. So congratulations to Neil Kemp for a $4,500 win there, as he also was going for 3 wins in a row along with CJ Howell at Boot Hill this past weekend, because he had won last Friday at 67, then won again last Saturday, won again, and was looking for his 3rd in a row. So Neil Kemp has got the Club 20 car rolling pretty good right now. He had a good car at Boot Hill again on Saturday night, but CJ Howell just too tough to tame right now. So as we were talking about Cody Tupper, I want to do this. I want to pull this up. I have results from 10 years ago from Independence, or for July 4th weekend. If Cody Wooten could throw them up for us. So look, these are results from 10 years ago. And I posted this on Cody Tupper's post earlier today. So Cody Tupper on this weekend 10 years ago had won his first ever beginner cruiser race. Beginner cruisers at that time were the factory stocks. They were just, the only difference was the experience of the driver behind the wheel. But Cody Tupper on this weekend 10 years ago got his first ever win in a dirt car of any kind. In his rookie year, he went on to later win the Louisiana State Dirt Track Championship in a factory stock in his rookie year. And then the next year, 2016, on a Thursday night, he came back. He won his first ever start and his dad's limited modified at Arklatex on a Thursday night. He has been really good at getting first times and like his first ever starts. This wasn't particularly his first ever start, but I just thought it was neat. It popped up on my memories, Cortland, and to look at how far a driver like Cody Tupper has come in 10 years' time. He's one of the best racers that we have to offer in the Arklatex, and obviously one of the best USRA B mod drivers I'd say in the country right now.
Yeah, we talk about how we hate social media, but this is also the great part of social media is that Facebook will give you the remembers, and on this day 10 years ago give you the flashbacks. But like you said, man, it's crazy the progression he's had, just throughout his career. And like you said, his first time won the Louisiana State Championship, and then wins the debut in his dad's limited mod, and then he's taken this B mod deal by storm essentially around here. And it's really cool. Like I said, we hate social media sometimes, but then right now it gives you a cool little memory, and it just puts you back to where you were, man. And like, I guarantee when Cody Tupper first started and he won that beginner cruiser race, he probably thought he was King Kong and he won the world, like it was, that was the highlight of his career. And then now 10 years later to see what he's doing, and he's absolutely lighting it up with 15 wins already on the year, man. It's cool, man. Like I'm one that's very become sentimental to memories like that, and I'm sure he appreciates it and all, but I mean, it's stuff like that. It's our history, man. If you gotta love and appreciate your history to appreciate where you are now, I guess would be the best way to put that. So yeah, really cool to see this memory and flashback. And I'm sure you're going to go through some of these other guys here.
Yeah, I'm happy that I documented, these results, and I kind of wish I'd have done them every single night that I'm announcing the races, right? Like this happened to be a 3-day weekend that I happened to be announcing all three of the super late model races. Ray Moore won Arklatex. Golly. Yes, we're going to talk about Ray Moore, the beautiful 93 car, right? Ray Moore won at Arklatex that weekend to kick off the 3-day weekend, and John Mitchell won at Timberline. There it is. How beautiful was that rig? Oh, my God, what a unit. The Moore Wireline J&J Motorsports MB Custom J. Dickens powered 93. The Rocket Ray Moore, two-time Pelican 100 winner. Hey, throw them other results back up, Cody. So, yeah, beautiful 93 car, man. If there's any driver on this list that I'd love to see return to racing, it'd be Ray Moore. I'm sorry to everybody else, but and there are a few on this list that I'd like to see race again too. Adam Willis, I guess we did see him and Talon get the race against each other last year at Manny, or maybe that was in 2023. But I do want to point out that this was Adam Willis's first ever trip to Timberline Speedway. He won his first ever start at at Timberline that night. And I think it's interesting because Talon has won it also his first ever trips to Boot Hill. It's just so interesting how father like son, right? And now Bubba Jones, he won at Arklatex that weekend. Now he's the promoter at Boot Hill. David Winslet now races crate late models. He was the winner in the mods that weekend. Jason Ingles, the winner in the mods at Lone Star. Lone Star is no longer in operation. Timberline's no longer in operation. I miss seeing Kevin Simpson, the Rock and Bowl Whataburger car. Shane Eber's now the promoter of Sabine Speedway. Like, dude, a lot has changed in 10 years' time. Alan Tippin now races factory stocks. And where are you at, Jeffrey? Where's my boy Jeffrey Bechet? He's fielding cars for the Benton Bullet. Josh Bockham, Dustin Robinette still has a limited modified. He's only tried to race once this year. I mean, dude, what a list. Like, this is a who's who. And Josh Warren has won like 55 in a row in the tuners after winning the factory stocks at Timberline 10 years ago.
10 years ago, this was also started at Timberline Speedway, but I run like a solid 7th or 8th. Nothing to brag about, but that was my first trip to Timberline Speedway. And I said to say, man, can we get a super late model 4th of July swing back to the Arklatex region? Like, man, that was the heyday. I was 16 years old, and my dad took me up here. He said, we're going to go racing. And I'm like, we don't need to go to these shows. Like, we do not need to go. And he's like, nah, we're going. Like, the only way you're going to get better is racing everywhere else. You're not going to get better just sitting there racing at Leesville and Manny every weekend. So we went, and I run a solid 5th in a B main at Arklatex, made the show at Timberline, and made the show at Lone Star. But like, dude, like Adam and Shane and all them guys, like, I mean, I remember Charlie Morrow come up there with us. I remember because we just parked beside him at one night. We were parked beside Adam that night he won. And dude, like this 4th of July super late model swing we used to have, I mean, I felt like it was a big deal. I know we always made sure on our calendar, like we would always go to all 3 tracks, whether when we were just spectating in that transition after dad kind of quit racing and we were just fans, and then I got to race. But I mean, dude, this 4th of July super late model swing, the crowd showed out this weekend, man. I hope this is something. And I know it's easy for me to sit here and say that, but dude, how hard would it be to get something down here like that? I don't think it would be unfathomable now, especially, Manny had a really good night. Chatham, they had a really good night. I mean, there's 2 tracks right there. I'm sure Boot Hill, Arklatex, 67, somebody. We just need one more track to throw out there. You know what I mean? And we could have a really good thing. And then all the guys travel and support it. Because, I mean, like Shane and Adam, that's a haul to get to Timberline. And they weren't paying no ginormous money. They showed up there because it was a super 4th of July swing, you know?
Yeah. Hey, and I want to shout out to RaceON real quick for throwing an additional $2,000 on top of the purse on Friday night at Manning as well. That's pretty awesome. It made it a $450 to start feature, which is standard, you know, for a regional super late model show. But that, I mean, in order for it to be a standard show like that, it took that additional $2,000. And I just thought it was pretty cool that we did sponsor that money on top. You know, people talk about what does RaceON do for racing around here? Well, we also give back to the racetracks. We also throw in money on the purses. And when I see stuff like that, that's what makes me proud to be a part of RaceON. You know what I'm saying? Ain't got nothing to do with me. It has to do with supporting the racers that put on the show that we get to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about. Real quick, man, we've hit a lot of super late model stuff here tonight. Brandon Shepard got off the schneid with a Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series win, his first since February of 2024. He got the win at Atomic the other night. Hudson O'Neal got him done at Muskie. Dude, I'm not taking shots at Muskie. I love the $1 Million Man, Donnie Moran. Nice little promotership he did the other day with the wet video, all that. But dude, what a dust bowl. Like that place, like it doesn't race bad at all. Muskie races pretty well. And I'm not being negative because they packed that place out to the brim. What did Dustin Jarrett say the other night? He said there's 3 things in life: death, taxes, and a sea of humanity at Muskie. And that's exactly what they had in Muskingum, Ohio the other night. So I don't know, man. When I watch it qualifying, dude, it's just they're sending rooster tails a mile high. That place is like, no, I think it's just the surface and the kind of dirt that it is. It's just not appealing to watch to me because it's so damn dusty. And I'm not hating on it. Like the people clearly love the place, but it's just probably not a place that I'd put on my bucket list to go to, you know.
They're just in that Ohio River Valley there, and that's just what they deal with. You know, you watch any racetrack there in Ohio, dude. Eldora used to be really bad about it too. Like I mean, you watch a video from Eldora, if you're standing in 3 and 4, like sometimes the dust is so bad you can't even see 1 and 2. And I mean that in the past, I don't know about it recently now, but like. And that's just the dirt and the surface they're dealing with. That stuff just creates dust, you know, like that Ohio sprint week that they'll have. And you watch here and there, you watch any race from Ohio, I promise you 85% of the time, you're going to just sit there and see dust trails all night long. But at the end of the day, I'll fight through some dust to sit there and watch a race like we had, in all honest truth. Cause I mean, we can sit there and we can watch this red dirt rubber up by lap 5 of a feature. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's part of that. That's what makes dirt racing different, is that every track surface is different. Now, of course, like I said, that Ohio Valley has similarities, but at the end of the day, it's a dust bowl some places, and other places you're getting hit with mud clods this big around, you know? I mean, just it's part of it.
It is interesting, like how the soil is at some racetracks. You know, you could have a track built like Cowtown Speedway. I wonder what their soil was, you know, like in comparison to Kennedale's, right? Like, is their dirt really similar? I guarantee you their dirts were too different. Like, if you did a soil sample and them tracks, you could throw a stone from one straightaway to the other. You know what I mean? Like, it's just interesting how racing is, you know, the racing services are that way. So, and that's why this stuff is always never an exact science, right? We never have it figured out, and that's why racing's so much fun on dirt, because the service is always, it's never the same. What do you have, buddy?
I was just gonna say, before we got off the Huddy deal, go ahead. Jason Durham joined that team at the end of April there when they had that open super late model race at Lucas Oil Speedway that he swept, and it was in April. But Jason Durham joined that team earlier this year, and man, has that program like turned around. I was looking at it today because I'm like, man, Huddy's been pretty good, and dude, and since Jason Durham, give or take, I'm not exact on. I know he joined before that Lucas Oil Speedway weekend in April, but they say they've run 25 races. He only has 2 finishes outside the top 10, and one of them was in the Kevin Rumley car, and the other was at the Dirt Late Model Dream. And that Hudson O'Neal has been really fast, man. He's had 6 wins since Jason Durham's joined on. He's actually jumped up to 4th in the Lucas Oil points to make the Final 4 chase. Like, he was a guy that when they started the year out and they left Florida, they weren't really throwing him in that big 4. It was going to be the RTJ, the 49, 99, and the 76. Well, now, man, like, I got the points wrote down. I wrote, like, it's RTJ, 49, Moran, and Huddy. And Albertson's sitting there 5th. like the 76. And I know Brandon Shepard or Rocket 1, you're always going to throw them in the mix. I mean, it's points breakdown is, like I said, RTJ 49, Moran, Huddy, Albertson, Cheppy at 6, and Overton has actually dropped all the way to 7th. And he's had a lot of bad luck recently, just mechanical failures and just crap happens when you're racing. But man, for Huddy, the way he's turned that or Jason Durham's come there. Now, I'm not saying like Jason Durham's the reason everything's going good, but it doesn't help when you got an experienced guy like Jason Durham, who was with Jonathan Davenport and one of the most well-respected names in the pit area of a dirt late model race, to have him on the team. And man, Huddy's really, he's hitting his stride right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he rolls off some more wins here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I really feel like we saw Hudson in the prime of his career when he was in the Rocket 1. I think that's what was so shocking whenever he got out of that car, because he was performing so well at that time. And he essentially left that team to go start all over again. And man, it's taken him a little bit of time to build it back up, to get that confidence maybe to be able to perform with these guys, man, because it's just, the shit just ain't easy. And it's taken him a little bit of time, man. And it takes driver and crew, like you said, with a guy like Jason Durham. And they appear to be meshing really well right now. And I will say this, man, JD got DQ'd for his for the limiter,
droop
the chain,
limiter.
Or the droop limiter chain or whatever. Yeah, so he got DQ'd Saturday. But man, if he would have won that race and going away like I thought he was, until Huddy just ran him down, it kind of surprised me, and I think it shocked a lot of people, because Davenport looked like he was checked out. He was going to win this thing going away, and then late in the going, he just kind of got ran down there. But I'm almost willing to say that Jonathan Davenport is 1A, 1B with Bobby Pierce right now. Davenport has been bad, sneaky fast all year. Like, he's winning races, obviously, and I mean, it's still JD, but I think JD's going to win this Lucas Oil Championship this year.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. Not that RTJ's fallen off any, but it's just not the RTJ of old. Like that Muskingum County would have been right up his wheelhouse, when he was dominating that black streak, up to the cushion, and just like being able to find grip when nobody else can, like, or find traction. Like, his car just had so much that he just could make it work. And, like you said, that 49 just been sneaky fast. Like he said before in his interviews, it's the year of seconds for him. And then he finally started breaking these wins through, and that 49's been fast. And he said, we got DQ'd the droop limiter, simply that limits how high the deck can raise up on the left rear of these late models. And, he said whenever that broke that he could tell a difference in the car. And that's, he's saying that's not why he lost, but it definitely didn't help him on that deal. But man, that 49 dude, he's only 20 points behind RTJ. And I know between Atomic and Muskingum, they swapped. Like, JD had the lead going to Muskingum, and then after Muskingum, RTJ got the lead back. So it's definitely one of them deals of like, they're closer than they ever been. And if he can rattle off some more wins to get those bonus points headed into the Final Four, there's no doubt with the way that Final Four chase is set up that it fits the 49's wheelhouse when you into Eldora.
No doubt. The World of Outlaws Real American Beer late models also raced this past weekend at Deer Creek in Spring Valley, Minnesota. Unfortunately, got rained out on the finale on Saturday night, but Nick Hoffman got a controversial win on Friday night. We'll just say that. And Bobby Pierce kicked off the weekend with a win on Thursday, but I didn't get a chance to watch it because I was at Boot Hill, obviously. No, it wasn't. I was at Manny Friday night, but I got like 4 or 5 messages Friday about the time that the slide job, or the incomplete slide job, heard around the world on Saturday or on Friday night. Yeah. But Nick Hoffman he was trying to slide Bruning for the lead on lap 3 of the 40 lap feature on Friday at Deer Creek, and evidently it pissed off a lot of people, pissed off a lot of race fans. Yeah. And if you weren't a fan of Nick Hoffman, boy, you were pissed the other night, because man, it tore up a lot of race cars. And listen, he didn't like to win it that way. I respect Nick. I respect his interview. Like, dude, you've got to be going after it every single lap in these cars. Can't leave nothing on the table. And he saw his chance to go for it. And man, we've seen Bobby do these things before. Like, sometimes we're going to have a little bit of an edgy situation, and there might be a crash because a guy tries to fit the gap and he doesn't quite fit it enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you get that in big time automobile racing, my friend. I mean, that fits perfect for that situation. I promise you, it's not like I said, we get to watch him on TV and different, but like you said, there's a lot of people that jumped on hating Nick Hoffman, and I think that's just because they just didn't like him. And I don't know why, because I understand you don't like somebody, but you don't have to sit there and just jump on him because he was racing for the win. Was it the most clean thing ever? No. Does him and Tyler Bruning possibly have a past? And Bruning may have been trying to come back down. I don't know. Like, but like we speak on all this and we try to speak on it, but we don't actually know. Like we don't know what the 9-car felt like going wide open into turn 3 at Deer Creek Speedway. We do not know what that car felt like, and we don't know what Tyler Bruning's car felt like whenever he's in the top of turn 4 and Hoffman sliding up there. Because like I will say, aero's a big deal. Guys know aero's a big thing, and when you slide up there and can take the air off of somebody's door or even get close and disturb that air, like it throws everything off. So I don't know. I'm going off on a ramble here, but before we jump and attack people, we're not in the cars.
Social meteorologists that are trying to attack Nick Hoffman. Go ahead, keep going. I love this.
Like, I mean, and it's so many different. This can resort to any racing scenario you ever have. Like, we can sit here and speak on it, but like, just like I said, going down the back straightaway, you got to get everything you can get. And to win a World of Outlaws race, and mind you, Nick Hoffman won 2 out of the last 4 that have been contested.
Yes.
So he knows he's good. And when your stuff's good, just like I said, when you ride the wave, you get all you can out of that wave. So when your stuff's good, you try to win. And that's plain and simple. So like I said, you don't know what Nick Hoffman felt going off into turn 3 wide open. And I know Deer Creek's in Minnesota. I don't know what town, but you don't know what he felt. You don't know what Tyler Bruning felt when he was getting off into turn 3 and 4. You don't know what the stick guys or signal guys were telling him to do going into that court. Like, there's so many different variables. And like, as I said, you get that in big time automobile racing, my friend. Like, it's part of it. I absolutely hate that like 10 cars got deboed. You know, like that's the part that I think everybody hated. And Hoffman even made a post about it. Like, he did not want to tear nobody's stuff up. You know, like he'll say like, that's not their goal. His goal was to go in there, and whether it was to slide Bruning or he left him a little bit of room out there. Now, was that room a lot of wet, fluffy stuff that maybe Bruning really couldn't get up and use? And Hoffman knew that. So he was I'm about to knock my mic over, trying to make Bruning make a decision. It is what it is. But like I said, like that's racing. Like, I don't know. Well, I don't know how to point it. Now, if there's a history between the two that I don't know about, then by golly, Bruning obviously didn't like it, and that's why everybody jumped on it. I don't know. You know, that's why we sit here. But so many people are so quick to jump on Nick Hoffman wrecked the field. And it's like, no, he didn't. Like, he went there and tried to slide Bruning, and then
because they've been racing late models for years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they know how it feels to slide a late model into a corner at 125 miles per hour. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, sometimes it's just best to just shut up. Like, you want to know why y'all very rarely see me on Facebook? It's because if I count to 10 and I still ain't got nothing to say, then I'm not going to say it. Like, I don't know if that makes it, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, I'm finna get their ass. Oh, I'm going to get their ass. No. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me count 1, 2, 3. I count to 10. I'm like, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah. Dude, I wish more people in this world, and this doesn't apply to racing. I already went on this social media rant earlier about people in the Lucas Lee situation. If more people would just count the freaking 10 or 20, hell, count the 50. I don't give a shit what you count to, but just count to something instead of losing brain cells and posting on social media your every freaking thought that you feel like you need to have validated out there by people. Like, sometimes it's just better just to shut up. Just stop talking. You don't have to talk. Like me, like right now, I can shut up. And so I'm going to stop talking.
So anyway, I'm going to stop talking.
You'll get it. Yes, I'm going to stop. Well, you know what I mean? It's that easy. Like, it's in my fingers. Like, I got to get on here and I got to fucking chastise somebody, and I got to let this truck know they fucking suck, and I got to let this person know that they're fucking, they did. It's like, dude, just settle down. Just settle down. Like, I swear to God, like, it's not that crucial. There's not, like, unless you just need that, like when people are coming there pounding that like away, like, oh my God, buddy, you got 150 likes. Congratulations to you, man. People really support what you just said. People really love the fact that you put your thoughts out there tonight, buddy. 150 likes. Congratulations to you. Guess how many dollars that paid you? Absolutely nothing.
None.
But people love and respect your opinion a whole lot more tonight. Man, just shut the fuck up. Like, honestly. But anyway, I'm sorry. Why did I do that? I didn't mean to say the F word. That was so rude. I'm so
calm down, Lucas Lee. Jeez. Calm down, Lucas Lee. Jeez. Pump the brakes, Zach. Pump the brakes, big.
I'm actually just having fun and totally just freestyle the whole thing.
Yeah, we're having a great time here.
I was blowing this off the hinges before I have to get to the very unfortunate, sad thing when I have to close this podcast off with. So I'm going to shift gears here real quick as Cortland is smiling from ear to ear because he knows how stupid I am. But
No, man.
This-
Like it's just I don't know. Like I'm not gonna jump. Like I mean, you obviously rode that horse there pretty good, and you're gonna you pounded you
I
spanked the
beat
horse
the horse
pretty good
dead
on
on
that
purpose,
one.
though. I was being
Yeah.
extra silly.
No, I know you was, and it's all funny, but it's just at the end of the day, man. Like, do we really need this negativity? Like, really? Like, it's okay. Lucas Lee said something stupid. Let him be the stupid one. Don't go put something else out there that makes you look stupid. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just, man. There's just so much, and like you said, people. I don't know. I guess they don't value who they are in life. And I'm gonna tell anybody right now, whether if you're able to listen to this, if you're still breathing, dudes, you are important. That comment on Facebook does not make you any more important than what you were 25 seconds ago, you know? So,
Right.
and I don't want there to sit. I don't want people to sit there and be like, "Oh, Cortland says we can't put nothing on Facebook." Like it's what they made it for. Obviously, it's social media. People love it, but at the end of the day, like we don't. You don't need that stuff, man. Like
But not everything needs to
you
be on there, you know?
no. So it is what it is. Man, you had me. I'm still giggling. God bless it.
All right, so I want to wrap this podcast up tonight, man. And then I have to take it from being up here, we're laughing and having a good time, man. I just go. I can say that everybody's. It's been. I'm getting tongue tied thinking about it, man, because it's hard to always talk about these kind of things, man. It's tragic what has happened in the Hill Country in Kerrville, Texas this week, and I'm going to talk about it on this podcast because we have two racers that live in Kerrville, Texas. That we watch RaceON week in and and week out. You know, they race a lot at Cotton Bowl and I-37. Cameron and Logan Dinsmore, they race IMCA modifieds, and they're residents of Kerrville, Texas, man. And I just want to send a lot of love out to those guys and to their families and their whole hometown. As man, they're going through an unimaginable time right now. Man, I was living down in Burnett, Texas in 2023, just outside of Kerrville. I mean, dude, that area is absolutely beautiful, man. If you've never been to the Hill Country of Texas, I've been down to the Guadalupe River. I've been to the Colorado River, Lake Buchanan down there. And man, when you see all those beautiful places and the blue bonnets down there, that's when you realize how beautiful the Hill Country is, man. I didn't realize places in Texas like that existed until I went down there. And I mean, we would go out there and work community service along the river. We were clearing brush and trees, from the water, down there on the bank. And the water was really, really low back then. And it was just it's mind blowing to me now thinking that the water's as high as it is right now. I was just texting one of the counselors from the rehab center that I was at down there in Burnett. And I was just messaging her, asking her how she's doing, and I hope all is well. She said, "Yeah." She said, "Zach, it's insane right now down here. You would not believe the devastation. You wouldn't even recognize some of the places we used to go down and work for community service." And that put it in perspective, man. It's just crazy, man. Like, God bless all of those people that are hurting tonight and that have lost a loved one. Just all them little girls. I'm not a father. I have nephews and cousins and family that I love deeply and care much about. I don't have kids of my own, but I could not imagine, man. Just truly devastating, especially just so close to home right here. Like I said, man, we have racers that live in that town. Cameron and Logan Dinsmore, man. So much love goes out to all of those people.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's absolutely tragic what's happened there, the flooding, and I know a lot of people, man. It's been a scary time, and like you said, prayers and thoughts and prayers out to everybody affected, especially those that have lost a loved one. We had I know they have a really big summer camp out there for, I believe it's for girls, and I know they were talking about how just camp counselors that were helping. We had a girl that was in our that's from Alexandria here, that she helped about 12 or 14 girls get out of that camp before it flooded. And so I mean it's national stuff. It's not just not taken away from the people in that area, but that summer camp was a really big thing as well. And I mean it's anything down there. That's just something I know because somebody from around my area, it made headlines about her helping get kids out of there. So man, just thoughts and prayers to everybody down there. It's like you said, man, tragic thing. It's really, really sad, and you hope the recovery is the best it can be.
Yeah, the fact that you send your child away to a church camp, summer. I went to church camps growing up, and they were located around the Houston area, and I couldn't imagine not being able to not get my kid back. Like you don't think that when you send them off to church, like you don't even think that that's even a possibility.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people hurting tonight, man, and much love goes out to all them people, and I guarantee you I'll be be praying for all of you for strength, man, because y'all need it right now for sure, no doubt about it. And the Lord can certainly give you all of that, man. Didn't know if we were going to do Court's Corners or anything this week. I know last week you've had a lot going on. I mean, you were on the road last week, right? So we didn't do the pod last week. You were in Benton, Missouri on Tuesday. You were racing with Morgan Bagley with not the Comcam, sorry, the UMP Summer National Sail Tour.
Yeah.
And man, Benton, Missouri, that was a really cool little racetrack. We didn't get a chance to really talk about that because we didn't do the pod last week. But yeah, man, you've had a lot going on up and down the roads, and y'all got the race a little bit closer to home this week. So, but anyway, a lot going on. So I'm not sure if you had Court's Corners this week or anything like that, or do you have anything additional you'd like to add with us before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'll hit a few things. Benton, Missouri, man, when you roll up to that place, it's right off of I-55, and I've never seen a racetrack that it rubber up in the heat races, and then for 30 laps, we bang the cushion, like without track prep. Like, I mean, I say they did track prep, but all they did was go out there with a water truck and make 3 passes with a water truck. And so really cool place. Like, I mean, it absolutely killed my rear tires after the heat race. I was not happy because I had to do a couple more to make sure my boy Bags was set up good for this week. But anyways, like, place is really cool. The vibe is cool. Pit area is awesome. It's got a lake. It's got a drag strip. It's got a motocross track in the back. Like, I know they said a big businessman bought it and was going to make it a real estate, put houses on it. And luckily, I guess enough people talked him into making it a racetrack. And not that this will get to him, but whoever that is, thank you, friend, for keeping it a racetrack, because it really is a cool place. They need to work on the track by all means, but for the heat race and qualifying. But at the end of the day, when you watch the 2 feature races I've seen from there and they've had of super late models, they've been absolute bangers. And if you like watching the decks get ripped out of it, that's what they do. And it puts on a great show. Like you said, we got to race close to home, and got to race at Manny. So pumped up. I'm gonna get personal here. Like, the last time I stood in victory lane at Manny was with my boy Darty. So to go back down there and to stand there, and then Bags, he threw the thank you to Darty there, and really cool. That place, I pump it up a lot because it is my home track, and I got a lot of great memories of my dad there, and it forever hold a place in my heart. But at the end of the day, it does race really cool, and really cool for Bags to win there, man, and to be a part of that. To know I played a hand in that, and I'm not there week in and week out no more. I stopped doing that last year, and but I did work for him for 2 years, man, and he's like he is my family, and it is what it is. But for Court's Corners this week, I kind of hit on it a couple times. I don't have no results or nothing, but man, I accepted a job at a high school here, and I'm going to try to keep my wits about me, and I'm not going to release too much information because I didn't clear this with the family to say this, but we lost a student at the high school I took a job, and I'm going to coach football at this year, and I got to spend this past month with him. And I say all that to say they prayed the rosary for him, and I waited afterwards, and people are dwindling down. I went up to see his dad, and I couldn't imagine. I'm not even gonna sit here and try to say I understand anything that they're going through. That's something that nobody should ever have to experience. And but I went to his dad, and I never met the man before in my life, and he said, "You're Coach Smith." And I said, "I guess." I said, "How did you know?" And he goes, "Man," he goes, "My boy absolutely loved you." He goes, "I don't know what you did." We had 12 practices that I've got to spend with him. He goes, "Man, he loved you. You brought the energy. He loved your country accent, the way you would joke around, but be serious at the same time." And he said, "Thank you for being a part of my son's life." And I say all that to say that life's short, man. And life is very precious, and you never know when your last day is. So we sit here and we talked about all these people, whether it's bad mouthing or hating this or hating that. Dude, if you're 6 feet above the earth and you're able to breathe and you're eating and you're doing all right and you're able to listen to this podcast or go to a racetrack, dude, we're doing good, man. It just sit back, like you said, the 10-second approach. Sit back and really think, like, man, life ain't too bad, and I know a lot of people are going through a lot of devastating things right now, with the flooding. And then, like I said, that kid that I've gotten to know, not like I said, I didn't clear this with the parents, so I don't want to get too emotional, but it hit my heart, and it makes me appreciate, I'm not making this about me by no means, but just not be a Cortland, be you, man. Whoever you are, be yourself and be proud of who you are. Cause like I said, you're doing something, you're important. If you're still 6 feet above this ground and breathing and doing, man, you're important, and be yourself, because the world needs all of us to go around and be positive, man. Because those 12 times I met that kid, I did, you never saw this coming, and that changed his life. So I'm using this as a deal to possibly, man, be positive to anybody you see, man. Smile. How much does it hurt to smile? because just those 12 interactions, I could tell impacted that kid's life, and the interactions we have with each other. I think 95% of the people could tell you I'm always good for one laugh when you walk by me. So I'm not saying be like me, just be you and be happy, man, because life's too short, and we get so tied up in the things that are going on. But when you sit back and look at it from a 100-foot view above, man, we're doing all right. And I know I rambled on there a little bit and I got emotional there, 2 separate occasions, but I just feel like it's something that need to be said, man. You see so much negativity in this world, and we're all going through devastating things at some point in time, that, man, just being happy and having a smile on your face really does impact people. And we need more of that,
100%, man. That's why you're on this podcast with me every week, because I love you, man. I do, and I don't mind telling you. Like I tell most people, like the other night, we're leaving the racetrack and Valerie Wells is walking away. I just have a habit of doing this with most people, and I mean it too when I tell people that. Like I have this habit, with my parents. I mean, when I talk to my brother, every time I get off the phone with him, I tell him I love him. I mean, it's just a habit, I do this with most people. But I was telling Valerie Wells the other night, we're leaving the racetrack. All right, Valerie, I was like, love you, love you, Valerie. I tell everybody that. I mean. Typically, people that I do, I try to let them know how I feel about them. So anyway, it's a good point there, man. And but yeah, I don't want to get too much of just increasingly patting you on the back. But man, I'm just
no.
This
ain't for me. Like this.
We weren't doing that. And you don't have to explain yourself on that.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was, man, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry for your loss. For that young man. And it's tough. Especially losing a student like that, and even just being a new teacher. Just to think that young man, he had his whole life ahead of him. It's sad, man.
Yeah.
But what his dad sees in you is what everybody else around here sees. And I think what I see and a lot of people see in you, man, you bring a lot of joy to a ton of people, man. So you keep doing that, man, on and off the racetrack, whatever you choose to do, man. We're just happy Cortland's around, and happy to have you a part of this podcast every week, man. It's fun. What's funny is we haven't really told the people this, but maybe we have. Man, me and you talked about doing a podcast together. 5, 6, 7 years. We've been talking about doing a podcast together for years, and we truly talked about. And when we got in Discord, we thought about firing up with it and doing it with it, and it just never happened. But now it's happening, and here we are, live and direct. Clark After Dark, episode number 42, folks. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. He's Cortland Smith. I'm Zach Clark. Thank y'all for tuning in here to the Final Whistle. Everybody, please be blessed and be a blessing. We'll see you at a dirt track near you this weekend.